YouTube, what the crap's going on? Heir of Carthage here, and boy do I have a good one for you today. This one coming to you from Castle Drakenhof. It is going to be a 3v3 with Bretonia, the Heralds of Ariel, and Dwarves. And then on the other side we have Lizardmen, Warriors of Chaos, and Skaven. So I guess the Lizardmen throwing in the towel on bringing about order and just going ahead and jumping right in with the Forces of Chaos. But hey, theming aside, this is looking to be a very fun matchup, and I will call it all out here for you. However, as things get started quickly, I want to pause it just for a moment, just to let you get a feel for the armies that are out here. Now, Bretonia has a line of men-at-arms with polearms and a couple of Grail Guardians over here. Now, remember, Grail Guardians are high armor. They're very good against low armor units in return, especially if those low armor units don't have any sorts of magical attacks, because they rely on physical resistance to last even longer in a fight. As for the rest of Bretonia's army, it is going to be led by the Fey Enchantress. She is flanked on either side by a Paladin, which gives her some protection from goon squatting, and then she is supported by Grail Knights behind. And then as for the Heralds of Ariel, we do have the Sisters of Twilight leading their faction. They have some War Dancers up front and a War Dancer with Azrae Spear in the back. They then have a Vanguard deployment, which is some Way Watchers, and then several Deepwood Scouts with the Swift Shiver Shard ammo. That is a magical damage ammo. It has very high missile strength. It's not specifically AP, but it's high missile strength at a limited range. And then there are Way Watchers, which are long-range armor-piercing ammunition. They are going to be supported, two Way Watchers. We do have the Lost Sylvan Knights here, which is the Regiment Renowned Great Stag Knights, ethereal unit with high AP damage and magical attacks. Then up front for the Dwarves, we have a couple of Miners with blasting charges to do some disruption and slow units down for the Organ Guns to get some shots. As far as the Dwarf Lord, it is Grombrindle, the White Dwarf, the angriest dwarf, and I would say the most grudging dwarf, but that's a good question, who the most grudging dwarf actually is. They're backed up by some Iron Drakes. There's a Runesmith and a Master Engineer supporting Grombrindle, as well as some Quarrelers, and then a front line of Dwarf Warriors, and there are some Slayers here, a couple of Grudge Throwers, and protected by more Slayers. Now, as for the forces on the other side, we're going to have the Lizardmen led by Mazdamundi, and Mazdamundi is not riding around on Zlok, so a risky but cheaper option for Mazdamundi. He is going to have the Banishment, his Shield of the Old Ones, a Net of Amantok, and Apotheosis, so it'll be a good support unit for sure. I don't believe he pulled Ruination of Cities. Did not, so does not have all of his blob-pusting abilities. He's going to be flanked by a Saurus Scar Veteran. Maybe that's just a short way of saying Saurus Scar Veteran. We'll just call it a Scarus Veteran. So he's got one of those on both sides, an anti-large, armor-piercing. There are multiple Saurus Spearmen, not all of which have shields, so we're going to see a lot of Saurus Spears, and then we're going to see some Skinks with Javelins working out on the right flank, and then we have hiding in the back as a Natty Bubo's Sharpshooter, so interesting pick there. In the very back for Chaos is a Chosen with great weapons, and this is a very expensive unit, especially in a 3v3, sometimes very hard to make it worthwhile because they're so easy to annihilate with artillery and magic in these types of setups, so we will see how that works. We've got 3 Chaos Warriors with great weapons, a couple of Chaos Feral Manticores. There are some Marauders over here, and then they are led by a Chaos Sorcerer Lord of Fire on a Manticore, 2 Exalted Heroes on horseback, I think set up in the cheapest configuration they can come, which makes a lot of sense. And then we have a couple of Marauder Horsemen, several, make it 4, my bad. It's Marauder Horsemen. Let's get the battle started. Like I said, the action's going to be fast and furious. Oh, I forgot to call out Skaven. We'll do that as they're marching forward. I got Throth the Unclean. He is supported by a Packmaster, flanked by Morskitter's Hellion, a mutant Rat Ogre, and then a Hell Pit Abomination. There are some Clan Rat Spears with shields right in front of the Council Guard, which is protecting the main troops there, and then there are a couple of Storm Vermin with Halberds. I did mention in the back for the Skaven, the Natty Bubos, and then there are a couple Stegodons for the Lizardmen as well. And they're going to sit back and fire from long range, which you don't often see with Stegodons, and it's honestly probably a good call. So the battle is going to get started very quickly here as Chaos starts to move up the right flank of the submitting team, and the Skaven just go all in on an assault right up the middle. You can see that the Heralds of Ariel were able to pull their troops back before they ended up getting engaged in the woods, which was definitely good. And we're going to see the Chaos Sorcerer start things off with a Burning Head right across the top of a bunch of Grail Knights. Gonna be some decent value, even though it didn't get a lot of kills, because all the damage they can cause to those Grail Knights is going to be better for Chaos. So an engagement that Bretonnia looks to win, but I'm not sure that this is going to be a favorable engagement in terms of money. As far as the front line goes, the Skaven have quickly gotten into battle, but look at this, the Morskitter's Hellion got absolutely crushed by the Dawi, as did the Hell Pit Abomination. So the Dawi extremely effective with the support of the Deepwood Scouts here at pushing back the Thrott's Abominations here. You're going to see the Lost Sylvan Knights charging in, trying to disrupt Tier 2. You can see now the Bretonnian's going to fall back behind the line of War Dancers. Then on the far flank, there were just some skink cohorts with javelins that ended up getting pounced on by the Grail Guardians, and the Grail Guardians are going to make short work of them. So we hear Sara Spears getting caught up on Slayers and all kinds of Dwarf Infantry. The Dwarf Infantry is not very good, but it's going to get a pretty good value, I think, based on what it's up against, because the stuff that's coming up against it is much more expensive, and it will take it a while to cut through, which could end up being valuable for the, I'm going to call the team that submitted it here, the submitting team. Look at this summon here, Clan Rat right into the Quarreler, nicely done. See the Master Engineer just sitting back. He's going to be looking for targets of opportunity. Grombrindle in here just duking it out with the Skaven, because Grombrindle doesn't wait to get in a fight with the Skaven. He just does. Doesn't ask any questions. Shield of the Old One here, and a Banishment. So this is really clever. Basically, moving through the woods to keep himself safe. Mazdamundi's made his way up to the front, protected his own units while dropping a massive banishment on the enemy units. So pretty nice play there by Mazdamundi to help try and tear a hole through the line. Obviously, the attacking team here, I'm going to call the red bannered team the attacking team here, they are in a big hurry to get a hold of all these Heralds of Ariel skirmishers here. It's not been easy for them so far, though, because there's a lot of support. See some of the heavier Chaos Infantry moving in at this point. However, look at this, the Chosen just sitting back in the woods still. We'll see whether or not that ends up being a good decision. And we got the Marauder Horsemen over here getting great value by just popping off on Grail Guardians who got ahead of themselves, and then the Scar Veterans are going to go support against that as well. The fight right here in the middle, though, is not going great for the Skaven. You can see the Morskitter's Hellion and the Hell Pit Abomination, again, just charging through the lines, really hoping to get to these archers, but this is suicide. It's not going to happen. These archers are relatively fleet of foot, and they can fire in a 360-degree arc, and this will leave these units badly exposed and without much support. Thrott is on foot, and Thrott's kind of a big boy. He sits around eating a whole lot of mutated flesh, and unless he gives himself a pair of bigger legs, he ain't going to be getting around too quickly here. Now, he did give himself extra arms, but extra legs, not so much. So, as I mentioned, those two units got cut off and will be utterly destroyed in the back here, and you can see Thrott is going to get spit roasted here if he's not careful, and then the Sisters of Twilight also hitting him with their bowfire. They have been patiently held up here in the air. They've done a lot of damage to infantry, and then now they're picking at some single entity targets, so don't underestimate what the Sisters of Twilight can accomplish in the air. If they go unchallenged, it can be quite a lot. They're a powerful ranged unit. Look at here, Slan Boy Mazdamundi supporting his forces again with the Shield of the Old Ones, so Chaos getting the support of the Old Ones. This seems like heresy in every way possible, and Oxiatal is probably taking notes before his DLC comes out so that he can, he might have to take out Mazdamundi as part of this for joining up with the forces of Chaos. But right now, a pretty close battle. Shows slightly in favor of the submitting team, maybe. But I mean, this is honestly a close battle. I mean, if we take a look at what's going on here, there's been quite a few losses on both sides, but Chaos has multiple single entities still in good shape. Mazdamundi's still in good health. Stegodon's still in good health. Thrott's still in good health. His Packmaster's still alive, albeit not in good health. But then we look at the other sides. The Sister's still in good health. Multiple Skirmishers still in good shape. The Fey Enchantress and her Paladins are still very much alive. But look at this, the Chosen that was held in reserve. It's now moving out of the woods and looking for an opportunity. There's less here to kill it. There are still things to kill it. But we will see what happens. Scar Veterans over here mopping up the Grail Guardians, and look at the nice javelin fire here, supporting the Chaos Lord, who was a little bit out of his element here against two Paladins. These are going to be very tough units. They have the Guardian ability, which is going to add extra physical resistance and make life miserable for anything trying to attack them. I like the way the Manticores were kind of thrown in here, I guess, but then they went berserk, and this may not end up being such a good gambit. because they are getting absolutely worked by skirmish fire and the paladins. So I said I like that. I guess maybe that wasn't the best move here. A missed chalice of potions here, I think is what it's called, from the Fey Enchantress that looks kind of like the Comet of Kazandora. Look at this. The skirmishers still safe, but also running dangerously low on ammunition. So I got a feeling this is going to be a very tight finish in this fight based on what I'm seeing right now. Both sides have some key units that are still alive. And honestly, the attacking team, I kind of feel like they may have an advantage here because they have some very tough units left. And as I look on the other side now, the Fey Enchantress is now in a very dangerous engagement. There's a couple of Scar veterans here. There's more exalted heroes moving in. They're just slowed down right now by a flash bomb. And then you've now got Natty Bubos back here positioned into firing. This could get ugly for the Fey Enchantress. There's a Chosen with great weapons nearby as well. Oh, a banishment. Rest in pieces, you sweet Grail Knights. Yeah, they got hurt bad in the middle of that, and then here comes some Marauder Horsemen to just kind of add some weight to the fight. Though both teams taking some losses there, as you're getting nice support fire from back here by the Dwarves and from the Sisters. Fireball coming in after the Fey. The Fey is now taking some pretty significant fire from Natty Bubos. I don't see any units in a position to challenge Natty Bubos other than maybe this Men-at-Arms, and I don't know how long they're going to last with those other units around. So Fey Enchantress is in some pretty serious trouble. The Grudge Thrower could certainly do some damage to them, as could the Quarrelers. Take a look over here. The last ammunition is coming out of the Swift Shiver Shards, and the Way Watchers have already spent their ammunition, and now they have to deal with this Stegodon, another angry one who is clotsing all over the top of their Iron Drakes. Fey Enchantress is in some pretty serious trouble here. Now, pretty impressive how long she's been able to hold out with the help of her troops, and taking out Scar veterans, taking out exalted heroes. I mean, she has done some great work, but she's about to be routed out of this fight. More Men-at-Arms coming in to support this fight. So again, losses on both sides, as it kind of almost just comes out as an even trade. We end up with yet still a very close fight. But look at that fire coming in from the Sisters. But again, the Sisters down to their last couple of volleys of ammunition. So ammunition is going to run low. This is no doubt going to come down to a massive melee brawl in the end, and look who's left for said melee brawl. We have a Chosen with great weapons, and at this point, magic and ammunition, another thing, is in short supply, and this unit could end up playing a pretty massive role late in the game. This is a very powerful infantry unit, arguably the strongest infantry unit in the game, and so it could be very interesting to see how that plays out. Now, not a lot of heavy armor units on the other side, but there are some dwarf units, so it could be good to have that armor-piercing capability. Scar Veteran got back in here, lobbed up a whole bunch of units, and the Chaos Sorcerer hit it with a very nice Flaming Head, which did some fantastic damage. So that Scar Veteran, or a Scarus Veteran, as I called it earlier, looks to be doing a good job of blobbing up enemy units and keeping this fight even. Grombrindle is still in pretty good shape. He is no dwarf to sneeze at. He packs quite the wallop in melee and is a very real threat to any of the remaining lords that are on the other side. These paladins also pack a huge punch in melee, and I feel like they need to be pulling back closer to their support troops. This is extremely risky for them to get caught out like this, especially around Throt, who is going to be packing some anti-large capability there too. Look at this one, got netted right in front of the Natty Bubos, and the other one's looking to save him. But again, this is very risky because he's very close to Throt and a Packmaster who will shred through him. Fireball nicely placed there. That Chaos Sorcerer of Fire has done a spectacular job in this battle. And look at this fire support coming here, literally fire support. Yeah, see, the Paladin got way ahead of himself. This was a mistake on behalf of Bretonnia here, letting those units get caught out. And it's keeping this battle, again, very, very close. Look at this. The Iron Drakes are still alive. They haven't picked up any chevrons yet, but they're getting a lot of kills. And anything with, honestly, at this point, even with high armor, units are going to be pretty threatened by this Iron Drake. Another Shield of the Old Ones here. Croak's going to, or sorry, not Croak, Mazdamundi's going to keep supporting his units. One of the Paladins did manage to get out alive. However, Mazdamundi finds himself in a rather desperate situation. He'll do good against the Lost Sylvan Knights because he does magic damage. However, he can't really sit around in a fight with a unit like that for terribly long because it's very, very dangerous. His Azray Spear are doing some terrible damage to Mazdamundi, and he is in big trouble and needs support. in a big hurry. Natty Buboes have been getting pressured by multiple units, like from here, from the dwarves. At this point, the Chosen with Great Weapons is really making its presence felt on the battlefield. They've racked up 74 kills to only 3 losses. And at this point, if they come up against War Dancers, these lightly armored Ladies of the Wood are going to get a real lesson in sheer melee brutality at the hands of these heavily armored Chaos Warriors. Now, had these been Blade Singers, this would have been one of the most interesting fights I think we would have ever seen in a multiplayer battle. A late-game brawl between a couple, I say a couple of heavyweights. Is it Blade Singers? Yeah, Blade Singers, not so much a heavyweight as the Chaos, but they are a heavyweight in terms of the stats that they pack into a fight like that. But yeah, anyway, we can see that the first Chevron picked up for the Chaos Warriors. They are taking a bit of a beating now as units like the Paladin come in and the Sisters of Twilight dive in, and so they're going to start taking some damage. But here comes support from Throt. And the Sisters of Twilight in a very bad position. Mazdamundi very weak as well. No ammunition left in the archers, so they're going to charge into melee. The Sisters go down to the Natty Buboes. So that Natty Buboes being kept late into the game, they end up being very important. And here, look at this. So imagine Chosen with 22% damage resistance. They're going to be that much stronger. If you take a look, they are about to pick up their second Chevron of this fight already. They are causing massive damage, and it's still a very close fight. This Master Engineer back here, though, still has ammo. And right now, he is targeted onto Mazdamundi with his rifle. Natty Buboes are about to expend their last shots. They have done a pretty good job of getting some value in this fight. The Chaos Sorcerer Lord of Fire is in pretty bad shape now, too. Only surrounded by archers, but it's still a dangerous position. If that engineer, gets some shots on the right units, they're going to die because he does very nice armor-piercing ranged, and these are big units, which means that the typical weakness of the Master Engineer is that their line of sight is always blocked. But line of sight to Mazdamundi was not blocked, and he took a shot to the face, got knocked off of his floating throne, and that's going to leave the Master Engineer now. It looks like he's targeting these Natty Buboes, which is probably a waste of time at the moment. This Chaos Sorcerer Lord is going to be the bigger threat. Throt is a big threat. The Chaos Sorcerer Lord would be a relatively easy target. This is a very close replay. Grombrindle is kind of a last hope for his team, who is starting to lose ground, and it's really looking very good for the attacking team here, because with Throt in here and that Chaos Sorcerer, look at the hit he puts on Grombrindle. He's down to 400 hit points. The Chosen with Great Weapons, though, just still fighting away. They are now 3 chevrons, working close to a 4th with 207 kills. They've been a tremendous force to be reckoned with in this fight. That Master Engineer now picking at the Chaos Sorcerer Lord, and he just got some good hit points taken off of it. There goes the Natty Buboes. Almost 4 chevrons up on the Chosen with Great Weapons. Yeah, it looks like the Sorcerer Lord is now the target of unwanted affection by that... oh my gosh, he just took a massive hit from Grom... He just died to Grombrindle. Holy crap! What a turnaround by Grombrindle. Comes out of that with 14 hit points. Between him and the Master Engineer, killed the Chaos Sorcerer Lord, and that has sent Throt's leadership plummeting, and Throt can't hold on with the leadership, even though he probably could win the melee. Well, I say probably, maybe not. Holy crap, what a turnaround. That was nuts. Did you all see that ending? Holy crap, what an ending. Wow. What a chaotic battle and such an ending there. Wow, we got some good stuff in this one. Seeing a Chosen with Great Weapons just go off, and then seeing that crazy turnaround by Grombrindle there at the end. That was insane. He ended up getting some very nice value out of Grombrindle. The organ guns did pretty good, even though they were there a short time. A good value out of the Iron Drakes. Pretty good value out of this Grudge Thrower right there, too. Take a look at some of the other units. Look at this. Yeah, 1696 on the Master Engineer is spectacular. This is well done. Let's go look at Hams here, who was leading the Heralds of Ariel. Good damage off the Sisters. As expected, they died quick in melee, but they did most of that damage from the air. I mean, nothing wrong with the value at all. Coming off the Way Watchers and the Deepwood Scouts, they did as good as they could do, and I think good value from the Lost Sylvan Knights. Honestly, not even bad from the War Dancers here. Pretty solid, in fact. So pretty good play there from the Heralds of Ariel. And let's go to Bretonia. Fey Enchantress, again, not bad for a unit that's not as great in melee as she is. The Paladins pulling off a pretty solid job despite maybe getting a little too far ahead of themselves at the end. The Grail Knights were contained pretty well by the other team. They'll need to have more points than that to really be worth it, and same with the Grail Guardians. If we go to the Lizard Men here, Mazdamundi doing pretty good considering he wasn't mounted on Zlok. Still an expensive unit, but not bad. Scar Veterans doing okayish, not fantastic. Stegodons, though, both did quite well, getting a lot of damage. And these were very patiently used and kept at range, and used all of their ranged ammunition before charging in. But that was some pretty patient play there. We go to Chaos here. The Sorcerer Lord did a fantastic job at 33-37. Not as great from the Exalted Heroes. They kind of got thrown into a few fights where they did not excel. Feral Manticores are actually pretty cheap, and both of these two actually paid for themselves. So it's never a bad thing. And look at that, 33.91 on a Chosen. You're not going to see this very often. It is hard to get the value. I have to give kudos here to Captain Rump and the Chaos player for keeping these units safe in the back of the battle, waiting patiently in the forest, bringing them forward at a moment where they could do the most damage. And they darn near swung the battle for their team, and that was a really good one. Here's Throt with just the face here. I don't know what this is. But Throt not getting a ton of value himself because he died a little too early. And then the Natty Bubos, though, was really probably the most clutch unit here for the Skaven, as it did some really key damage late in that battle, as most of the units for the Skaven had routed a little too early to provide that much value. Holy cow, what a replay. What a replay. Now, this one was sent in by the Bretonnian player here, John, and really appreciate John sending that in. That was fantastic. I hope you all found that very much worth watching as well, as I did. I mean, that was nuts. That was nuts. And the ending, I couldn't even guess what was going on there at the end. So fantastic battle. This is all the more reason why you all should be out there playing battles. And they don't have to be competitive ones, right? You may not be in a tournament. You may not be good enough to play in a tournament. This was obviously a game where people were just kind of having some fun. Not to say that they weren't trying to do well and stuff like that. They obviously were, but you can have a lot of fun in this game and then sometimes get crazy unexpected results. One of the reasons why the battles in Warhammer are always going to be my favorite in the Total War series until CA comes out with something better. Doesn't mean there aren't good battles outside of Warhammer. Warhammer has the best battles in the Total War games I've ever seen, and that's why it continues to appeal to me so much, despite, years and years and thousands of hours in playing it. But, it is what it is. I love it. Anyway, hope you all enjoyed this one. Thanks to those who submitted it. I can't wait to see you all next time with some more content in Total War Warhammer 2.